Welcome to Weekly Astrology with Yasmin. Well, hello everybody. This is Yasmin Boland. This week coming to you live and direct from Paris, France, where I am here for a few days with my husband, who's French, and our son, who's also French. Seeing our family, seeing the Eiffel Tower. If you follow me on Facebook, you may have seen that last night I went under the Eiffel Tower to make my new moon wishes, which was really fun and reflected something I did years ago when I made a whole lot of wishes which all came true, which was one of the reasons why I got so much onto the new moon wishing path. And I want to talk today about new moon wishing, of course, since we've just had the new moon eclipse yesterday. If you're listening to me in the States and you happen to see either partial or totality, I would so love to hear from you. I'll be taking calls in the second half of the show. I'd love to hear what it was like. Some people say when they experience a solar eclipse like we had yesterday, which is the eclipse at the time of the new moon, it can be a very discombobulating, slightly eerie experience. So if you saw it, if you felt it, how was it for you? I'd love to know. If you don't know, I'm an astrologer and a moonologer, and my book Moonology is out with Hay House. It's been in the top 10 bestsellers on Amazon in the US and the UK for a year now, so if you haven't checked it out, please do. Great time to do it. And one thing to say as well, we're very much still in the new moon phase, which is why today I'm going to be talking about the new moon. I watched the new moon over the internet yesterday because of being in Paris, and it was still a really intense experience. In fact, I called my husband and my son to my side, and we all held hands. And we were watching the NASA feed, and it was very interesting because quite a few people were going, oh, why does it all have to be about religion? Because a lot of people were feeling quite spiritual at the time of the eclipse, the new moon eclipse. How did you feel, I wonder? I certainly tuned into the spiritual side of it. It felt somewhat mystical. It's probably a good moment to mention that eclipses in the old days used to have a bad reputation because they were regarded as sort of heralds of doom, harbingers of doom. And that was because, as you would have experienced yesterday, if you were in the right place at the right time in the United States, you would have experienced the fact that the sky all of a sudden turned dark, okay? So, of course, that was a really weird experience for our forefathers. It's not like today where we have every man and his dog, anticipating the new moon, selling us glasses so we can watch the eclipse. We even had your President Donald Trump up on the balcony looking at the eclipse for some reason without sunglasses on that I haven't quite worked out what was going on there. I saw one person, I won't even go into what one person said, but that was a bit unexpected. But we had it all. I mean, at one point I was watching the NASA feed, like I said, and at one point I noticed there were 556,000 people watching that eclipse at the same time as I was on that particular stream. I mean, that's obviously more than 500,000 people. And someone else said to me yesterday it was one of the most watched events in human history. So we're all entranced and enchanted by an eclipse. But as I said, in the old days, nobody knew why it happened. Nobody knew it was coming up. Nobody was selling tickets to it. So you'd be a peasant ploughing the fields, minding your own business, and all of a sudden the skies would grow dark and the birds would stop chirping and the dogs would start yelping and howling because they're all freaked out, and nobody knew what was going on. And then not too much later, the sun would come back on, the light would come back. But after that, everybody would blame anything bad which happened on that terrible day when the skies went dark, okay? So can you see how eclipses got their slightly fearsome reputation? Okay, that was then and this is now. We are now in modern astrology land, modern moonology land, and I don't think many people believe eclipses are necessarily going to bring anything bad. One question which might have occurred to you is, does the fact that it took place over the United States mean something for the United States? Is it more powerful for the United States? Now, there are two schools of thought on this. One is that if you can physically see an eclipse, okay, then you are going to be more affected by it. That is one school of thought. Other people say, no, it doesn't matter if you can see the eclipse or you can't see the eclipse. Everybody is going to be equally affected by it to one degree or another. The eclipse yesterday took place in the sign of Leo, the very regal sign of Leo. So if you happen to be Leo or Leo rising, it's going to have a bigger effect for you. Ditto if you happen to be Aquarius or Aquarius rising, because it'll be taking place in your opposite sign. One interesting thing is that I saw, and in fact I repeated, I was wondering, will the new moon eclipse in Leo mean that the Queen is going to abdicate, the Queen of England I'm talking about? And the reason why I wondered that is because Leo is the regal sign, and eclipses very famously really affect people who are famous. And the Queen of England is obviously one of the most famous women in the world. And I even wrote a little post about it saying, is she going to abdicate? Could that be what this eclipse is all about? And the reason why I thought that as a possibility was because, in fact, other people had been saying, nothing to do with the eclipse, that in fact there were rumours circulating in London, where I live, that the Queen was about to abdicate so Prince Charles could take the throne at long last. And so I thought, oh, well, maybe that's what this new moon eclipse means, because, it's in Leo, it's regal, and she's famous. But in fact, it wasn't that at all. It was still very interesting, though. In fact, the Queen herself apparently read the same newspapers as I did and heard these rumours herself and took the highly, highly unusual step of saying, no, I am not going to abdicate. No, I'm not. So, in fact, the Queen apparently, when she was crowned Queen many, many moons ago, she said that she would serve for as long as she was able, and she obviously still feels able. But there's an example again. I mean, I thought, well, maybe she's going to abdicate. That will be the big eclipse thing. But actually, the big eclipse thing was actually more in keeping with the new moon, which was a resurgence of proclamation and declaration and intention from Queen Elizabeth that she is not going anywhere just yet. So I'll be interested to hear how you've been feeling this week. If you want me to tell you where the new moon eclipse took place in your chart, I'll be very happy to answer that question for you as well. So do please get on the line. I know you're really good at getting on the line and staying on the line, and I'm very grateful. Thank you. So I also want to remind you today how to make the most of this extremely important celestial event. I did mention it last week. However, that was sort of a week before the eclipse. We're now just 24 hours after the eclipse and still in the new moon phase, so it's even more pertinent now. I'll also be giving you a link to my new moon info sheets, so you can find out where in your chart the new moon eclipse is affecting you. Plus, you'll be able to get the free manifesting kit. Now, be aware, I might as well give you that link now. It's newmooninfosheets.com, newmooninfosheets.com. If you got it last month, it's the same, because last month we also had the new moon in Leo. But what you need to know about this eclipse as well is where it's affecting your chart is really important. Because while a new moon will affect you for about 4 weeks, the new moon eclipse will actually affect you for up to 6 months, because it's going to be 6 months until the next eclipse. Also today in the show, I'm going to be teaching you about how to use the moon to manifest your desires in such a way as is associated with the famous historical search for the Holy Grail. The Holy Grail and manifesting apparently have more in common than I ever knew. I found that out this week, reading a very amazing book which spurred me on to doing some other research. The book was The Tree of Life and the Holy Grail. I'll also be taking your calls, as I said, and just to let you know, I am planning, if I can Oh, actually, no, I won't say that because I don't have them with me. I was going to be doing some tarot, as they say in the States, some tarot cards today, but I'm actually don't have my cards by me and I can't see them right next to me. So I'm just going to stick to astrology today. Sorry about that, false alarm, tarot fans, but I will try and do tarot in the next couple of weeks because I love me a tarot card. Okay, now something else just to say about the eclipse. As you would know, if you're a regular listener or a moonologist, a moon watcher, you would know that 2 weeks ago we had the lunar eclipse. Okay, now the lunar eclipse and which is the full moon eclipse, and the solar eclipse, which is the new moon eclipse, are very much two bookends of the same thing. Okay, now the lunar eclipse gives us a glimpse into what Carl Jung, the great psychologist, referred to as our shadow self. Lunar eclipses are said to give us a glimpse of our shadow self. The thing is, we all like to think we're very good people, that we're very nice, we're very kind, we do the right thing. Most of us, anyway, pride ourselves on being that. We think I'm a nice person, my family's a really good family, and all that. But we are also human, okay? And we all have a shadow side. And sometimes the lunar eclipse, which was 2 weeks ago, can bring things up so we do things or we say things that we are really not very proud of, okay? That we kind of feel a bit ashamed that we did it. Maybe we do something we don't really want anyone else to know about because we think, oh no, like if they knew the real me, or maybe we do something that actually gives them a glimpse of what we think is the real us, oh, now they're going to see my true colors, what are they going to think? Okay, so there is that about the lunar eclipse. Now, in this case, because the new moon eclipse yesterday was in the sign of Leo, the very proud sign of Leo, in fact, it's actually a chance for us to work with our shadow self and actually figure out what there is to be proud of about ourselves, what we can be proud of. So I would love to be taking calls about that in the second half of the show as well. What are you proud of in your life that you've done? Let's talk about that as much as anything else, but more about that later. Okay. So let me see. I will tell you now, as I said, I'm in Paris. In itself, that's something kind of exciting and new moony, because I always wished to come to Paris. It was always my dream to come and live here. And I actually finally made it here, I think in 2004. And as it happened, I got the train over from London. I lived here for about 2.5 years. I got the train over from London. I was planning just to come here for a week and a half. Someone I knew in Australia had given me the keys to his apartment, and I was in London. He said, well, you're going to be in London. I'm not in my place in Paris. Here, take my keys. You can go and stay at my place. I barely knew the guy. He was my friend's ex-boyfriend. He was an art dealer. There was even a Picasso painting in his flat, if you don't mind. So I got to Paris on the train from London, and it was the night of the new moon. And I thought, well, what else am I going to do but go to the Eiffel Tower and make some wishes? So I dumped my bags at the apartment, very nice apartment, got in a taxi. And it was really interesting because I met about 3 people along the way. I suppose the doorman and, I don't know, the taxi driver and someone else maybe at the shop if I stopped to buy some water or something. And I told them what I was doing, that I was going to the Eiffel Tower to make my new moon wishes, which is something I did exactly the same yesterday as well. And I said to them, have you got any wishes? And they were all men, and they all said, I am wishing for love, which I thought was kind of amazing. Like these 3 Frenchmen, all very openly said, I want love, I want a relationship. And it really opened my heart a bit, I think, hearing that night, because I realised that's what we all want, really. We want to be loved, don't we? And I made my new moon wishes that night, and I wished for love, and I wished to live in Paris. And I ended up spending 2.5 years in Paris. After coming here for 10 days, I got myself an apartment, I got myself a job, I had one friend that someone had introduced me to, which led to a whole lot of friends, and I ended up meeting my husband and falling in love, who's now my husband of 10 years, my beautiful long-suffering husband, Olivier, very French name. So yeah, that's something I wanted to say as well, because I mean, new moon wishes, I truly believe they can come true. It was quite extraordinary wishing that night under the Eiffel Tower, wishing to stay in Paris when, how was I going to stay? I mean, I had my friend's apartment for 10 days. How was I going to find love like all these people in Paris? But hey, I stayed and I found love. So if you haven't made your new moon wishes yet, I hope I'm inspiring you to make some. We will be doing a visualization meditation quite soon too, okay? All right, so what shall I tell you next? In many ways, this week I think is the week that many of us, including me, have been waiting for. Because as you probably know by now, the eclipse was the second of 2 new moons in a row in Leo. So it means there is a lot of energy being poured into one particular part of our chart. The first new moon in Leo took place last month. But listen now as I tell you where the eclipse is affecting you, okay? If you know your rising sign, listen to that even more closely, because you will get more accurate results, because it's basically telling you what's going on in your personal chart. If you don't know your rising sign, but you'd like to, you can find it out for free. I'll give you the address. It's moonmessages.com/free chart. moonmessages.com/free chart. Once you find out your rising sign, always go by your rising sign if you can, because basically your rising sign is the most personal point on the chart. And so when you listen to something like I'm about to tell you about in a minute, for example, where the new moon eclipse is affecting you, if you listen via to your rising sign, it's actually like getting a personal chart reading from an astrologer, rather than the best we can manage in a newspaper or a magazine or on the internet, which is to write for your star sign, because everybody knows their star sign. Okay, so if you are Aries or Aries rising, what does this new moon eclipse mean for you? It means it's time for you to have more fun, okay? New moon in your 5th house, time to have more fun. Don't work so hard, don't worry so much. Taurus or Taurus rising, it is bringing a new start at home or with your family, or something to do with where you feel you belong. Gemini or Gemini rising, well, for you, it's basically heralding a very busy 6 months, which is kind of intense because you've already got Saturn on your back and now you've got the new moon eclipse in your 3rd house, so busy time ahead. Cancer or Cancer rising, the new moon eclipse is taking place in your 2nd house of cash, so there could be some money coming your way. It's a very happy looking eclipse and it's a new moon eclipse, so hopefully it's going to bring you good financial news. If you're Leo or Leo rising, well, basically your whole life is up for renewal. Okay, the new moon last month, the new moon eclipse this month, if you're Leo or Leo rising especially, your whole life is up for renewal. So what are you going to do? I actually just wrote to a girlfriend of mine, hello Kathy if you're listening, who's a Leo, lovely Leo friend of mine in Sydney, Australia, and asked her what she's going to be doing with the new moon eclipse energy. I know she's got some plans. I won't broadcast them, but if you're Leo or Leo rising, get out there and live your dreams, baby cakes, because this is really the time. Virgo or Virgo rising, well, your spiritual life is getting a boost. Now, that might not sound exciting to some people. I know some people go, oh, spiritual life, who cares? But hopefully Hay House radio listeners know a spiritual life boost is a gift from the heavens. So get your Om on, start meditating, boost your practice, do your yoga, do your chanting. Libra or Libra rising, guess what? Your popularity is on the increase. I am so happy to hear that for you. It's going to be fun times ahead for Libra. Also, remember to make a wish, because the new moon eclipse took place in your 11th house of wishes. So make sure you make actually 10 wishes, write them down, or listen up for the new moon visualization meditation I'm going to do very soon. Scorpio or Scorpio rising, there are big developments at work on the cards for you. Work hard and you will get good results. Sagittarius or Sagittarius rising, well, study and travel are now particularly well starred for you, which is good because you deserve a bit of a break. Capricorn or a Capricorn rising, there's a new start for you financially or sexually coming. So if you want a new start in your bank account or in the bedroom, this is the time to act, take action. It's not going to happen by itself. You have to act on it, although you'll be helped and you'll see opportunities opening up. If you are Aquarius or Aquarius rising, your love life is getting a big boot, okay, a reboot. Hopefully in all the right ways. It should give you, if you're in a long-term relationship, it should give you something like a re-injection of excitement. And if you're single, it's a really good time to leave the past behind and find someone new. And finally, Pisces or Pisces rising, well, guess what? Your daily life, your daily work routines are very likely going to change at some point in the next 6 months. That is a very, very brief rundown. If you would like to hear more about what's going on in your chart, if you'd like to connect with the angels in your chart, then I highly recommend you grab one of our new moon info sheets, which are available at newmooninfosheets.com. I've had these online for, I don't know, something like 2-3 years now. A lot of the information is from my book Moonology. So if you have the book Moonology, you don't really need the new moon info sheets if you've worked it all out for yourself. There is some additional information in there as well, though, or if you would like it just all worked out for you. And yes, get your rising sign rather than your star sign. Okay, so new moon wishes. We've got about 10 minutes before I'm going to go to the phones. The big question is, did you make some wishes at the time of the new moon yesterday? I know I did. I was under the Eiffel Tower and I put my hand on my heart chakra and I threw it up into the air and I said, so be it, and I made my wishes. I hope you did too, but if you didn't, don't worry, because we're going to do some in a minute. Buddhist theory says that whatever we do at the time of a solar eclipse is magnified 10,000 times, okay? So that's kind of interesting. What were you doing yesterday? And as I said, if you haven't made your wishes yet, there is good news, because we are still very, very, very much in the new moon phase. If you'd like a free how to make your new moon wishes, I can offer you that. It's a free PDF to download and print out. Again, it's from my book Moonology, so if you've got my book Moonology, you don't need the PDF. You can just find the how to make your new moon wishes, which is, I think, a whole chapter on itself. But if you don't have it, you can go to moonmessages.com /free wishing guide, moonmessages.com /free wishing guide, and it will show you how to make your wishes, which is a slightly different thing to what I'm about to do now, which is to do a new moon visualization meditation. And I just wanted to say, just really, really briefly, as I said, I think last week and this week, I've been reading this amazing book called The Tree of Life and the Holy Grail by a woman called Sylvia Frank. And it was actually written after the Da Vinci Code and after Holy Blood, Holy Grail, which, if you know anything about those books, you know that some of the information about the Priory of Sion was called into question because of some guy admitting that some of the stuff he'd done had been done falsely. It's a long story, but if you know what I'm talking about, this book, Tree of Life and the Holy Grail, was written after that, so it takes into account this sort of strange weirdness thing with the Priory of Sion. Now, I'm not saying I believe this 100%, but one thing Sylvia Frank says in her book, and I've seen other people saying it as well, is that the Holy Grail, the famous Holy Grail, is actually described as having the power to bring new creation into matter, okay? So in other words, the Holy Grail is actually our ability to manifest our dreams, okay? Now, I am a firm believer of that, as you would know if you read my work or you listen to me here on the radio, and that's what I want to help you do right now, because there is no better time to manifest, I believe, than the new moon, and a new moon eclipse is a new moon on steroids. So, Mike, if we could have some lovely music, please, we will start our new moon visualization meditation. Wherever you are, just try and get comfortable. Start to close your eyes and just breathe naturally. Just breathe naturally. In and out, in and out. And I'm going to call on the Archangel of the new moon, which is the Archangel Raziel. Okay? Every star sign has an archangel corresponding, and the archangel that corresponds with Leo is Raziel. And Raziel can help us understand the esoteric more deeply. Now, in order to do this visualization meditation, I need you to move into a state of gratitude. So, placing your hands over your heart chakra between your breasts, think about someone or something that you are truly grateful for. Okay? And let that wonderful feeling of gratitude fill you up. And now, I want you to think about something you really want to manifest in your life. See it as a movie with you as the central character. So you're looking through your own eyes as you experience whatever it is that you want to manifest under this glorious new moon. So where are you? What does it feel like? What can you see around you? How do you feel? See your dream as real. And if you can't, try a little bit harder. See it as real. Imagine it. What can you see? What can you hear? Feel? Taste? Trust that this wish can come to pass. And repeat after me, silently or out loud. I commit to doing all that I need to make this dream real. For the good of all, or not at all. I surrender to the divine. And I'm just going to say a Sanskrit chant here. Om Namo Narayani. Om Namo Narayani. Om Namo Narayani. Which just means I surrender to the divine. So now, rub your hands together. Open your eyes. Come back into your body. Thank you, Mike. So that's something you can do every new moon to practice your new moon manifesting. I'll do it every week on the radio, at least for a little while. As I said, the archangel to work with this month is Raziel, who's the Technicolor angel. Raziel has a rainbow-coloured aura, so it beautifully complements the sign of Leo, which is guided by the sun. Without the sun, there's no rainbow, and without the rainbow, life would be a lot less enchanting, as it would be without Leos. All you Leos out there, we do all worship you as we should. Raziel is an amazing angel, the Leo archangel. If you want to, some of his specialities include if you want to communicate better with him, with heaven, you can ask Raziel to connect you. If you want to improve your psychic abilities, Raziel is the angel to go to. If you want to teach or write about spirituality, which I know a lot of Hay House Radio listeners do, ask Raziel. You can also ask Raziel if you know your ego is out of control or getting in your way. And also if you want to balance your karma. I'll be going more into the angel astrology next week In fact, when on this show, I'll be doing a whole week on angel astrology. So if you're interested in angels and astrology, make sure you tune in. And also, if you're interested in angels and astrology, you may be interested in something I've put together, an ebook I've put together, which is a Moon Angel Guide. So basically, it guides you to find out which archangel is guiding each new moon of the year. You can find that on my site, moonology.com/Moon Angel Guide. moonology.com/Moon Angel Guide. Okay, so on that note, we have lots of lovely people waiting on the line. I'm hoping some of them are going to tell me that they were in the path of the eclipse. Yes. Let me start with Kat, who is on line 3. Are you there, Miss Kat? So I see you were in the line of totality. Was it? Was it spooky?